Hey, you're listening to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, integrative fertility health coach, and lover of all things nature and animals. I'm on a mission to have intentional conversations about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. My mindful guest and I will be talking about struggles, wins, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as we enter motherhood. My background in healthcare has shown me how broken our medical system is. My own struggles to become pregnant has shown the lack of support for mamas to be, the lack of guidance for women to have a nourishing and vibrant pregnancy, the isolation, mom guilt, and all the things we hold after bringing baby earthside. I want this platform to be a place where women can feel connected, safe, and supported to share and hear their stories. A place to use our voice to discuss and advocate about what we need and deserve as mothers. So let's dive in, shall we? Hello. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the first official episode of Rising into Mindful Motherhood. And I'm so excited for this podcast and the community that is going to really come of it, because I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all yearning for, is that connection and that community. I think that has become really clear to me on my own journey to motherhood, is how important it is to be connected with each other and there to support each other. And, they say it takes a village, and I truly believe in that statement. So for this episode, I just really wanted to kind of dive into the inspiration that has really led to this podcast, and just a little bit of background about myself and how I kind of ended up to where I am today. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be on this journey with all of you. So I just want to thank you again for listening. So my name is Dr. Katie Wood, and most importantly, I'm a mom and a pharmacist, and also an integrative fertility coach. So I graduated from pharmacy school in 2013, and naturally the next step was to kind of work with the employer that I had been working with throughout college. So that was in retail pharmacy, and that's pretty much what I did right out of graduating. And the retail space really shifted right around the time that I graduated. It used to be you could really spend a lot more time, or seemingly so, with your patients. And around the time that I graduated, immunizations were the new thing to have done in the pharmacy, and MTMs, or medication therapy management, was kind of the next driver of profits for pharmacy. And, I was just kind of moving through the motions of becoming a pharmacist, being confident with, being in charge of other people and being the person that patients seek answers from, and just kind of moving through the motions. And my now husband, we were engaged, so really kind of focused on the wedding. And in 2016, I really started on my own healing journey. So I learned a lot about body care, beauty care, and the fact that a lot of what is available is actually really toxic to us and to our health. So, and this is coming from a very loyal Bath and Body Works shopper. I used to pride myself with the amount of items I could get during one of their big sales, and it was everything, the body spray, the candles, the plugins, the body wash, lotion, you name it. I had all the scents. And just kind of learning that sometimes the products that we use may not be the best. So that really led me down to this rabbit hole of figuring out like, okay, well, if I didn't know about this, what else don't I know about that could be not good for myself or my health or anything like that? And it just kind of ends up being this rabbit hole of exploration. So one thing led to another, and it turned into learning more about laundry detergent, toothpaste, the pots and pans that you cook with. I mean, it really is a journey in itself, cleaning up the home, cleaning up the environment, the air that you breathe, you know. So that has really bled into a lot of things into my life. So towards the end of 2017, my husband and I had decided that that would be the time that we would start trying to have our family. I'm trying to think, 28 at the time when we first started. And ideally, we wanted to be pregnant or have our first child by age 30. And I remember reaching out to my OB at the time and just explaining to her, I've been on birth control for 13 years. And when should I stop taking that versus, how long should I wait until I start trying? And she really said, you can stop and start in the same month. And I took her advice, even as a pharmacist. That was really I felt her area of expertise. So we took her advice, and I honestly had every expectation to be pregnant after that first cycle and be able to announce it to our family and friends on Christmas. And it felt like a punch to the gut when that didn't happen. And I try to think, like, why did I think that? Why did I think it would be so easy? And I think a lot boils down to society has us think that, there's movies where people get married, they go on their honeymoon and they come back and they're pregnant. And that's not, I mean, that might be how it worked for some people, but that's not really how it works. I mean, to have had your honeymoon even planned during your fertile window is like one thing. But to have it actually stick, is an entirely another thing. So I think that there's a lot of this pressure that's put on us as women to get pregnant, like as if it should happen right away. And coming from a type A perfectionist, having like the pharmacist analytical mindset in my mind, I thought that I was the picture of health. I ate healthy, I exercised, I was a healthy weight and all these things. And I just didn't really have any idea why I would have any reason to struggle to get pregnant. But really, I mean, deep down, like I was healthier than most Americans, yes. But was I truly healthy? No. And I'm still not 100% the picture of health today. I mean, health is a constant evolving journey. So I didn't see that at that point, coming off of 13 years, that was nearly half of my lifetime. I was 28 and I was on it for 13 years. Half of my life, I was on birth control. And it's not talked about what birth control can do to your body. Birth control depletes you of the exact vitamins and minerals that are so crucial to a healthy conception and a healthy pregnancy. And yes, I was taking a prenatal, but still, I mean, those nutrient stores, are depleted after 13 years. Was I truly on the prenatal long enough? and also being on the prenatal and the birth control, even taking it before I stopped the birth control. And it can affect your gut health too, and so many other things. Birth control can shrink your ovaries, and yes, they can come back. They can bounce back after discontinuing birth control, but I was advised that I could start trying in the very same month that I discontinued my birth control. So there's definitely this disconnection going on, and really I was completely disconnected from my body and my own natural rhythm. I mean, I honestly didn't even realize that the periods you get on birth control aren't actually periods. That's just a withdrawal bleed from estrogen. So here I am thinking like, things are great, but no, that wasn't even a real period. And luckily for me, yes, my cycle came back regular. It was honestly almost as if I had never discontinued the birth control. It was always pretty regular, a 28-ish cycle. So of course, a few months into trying, when I went back to the same OB with, oh, I haven't gotten pregnant yet. And, I really felt dismissed because her response really was, you're healthy, just keep trying. And that was kind of it. And yes, from the outside, I looked healthy. My cycles were coming regularly, but there was no exploration of health, truly. So that was really frustrating for me. That was a hard pill to swallow, going to this healthcare professional for advice and guidance, and kind of just being shrugged off like, yeah, you're fine. Just keep trying, which it is true. The majority of couples, around 85%, will conceive within 1 year. But that doesn't mean that there's not steps that we can take to optimize our chances of conceiving and our health. I mean, there's so many things we can do to really improve our egg quality, sperm quality, which at the end of the day, that's going to make a healthier baby. So why would we not prioritize this? Why is this not being discussed in healthcare? So, being a pharmacist, I did a ton of research, probably too much, really just going down rabbit holes of what I can take, what I can do. I remember I had a plethora of supplements. I can't even recall all of what they were. I know I can think of some of them. And, I think it was, I see a lot of women doing this today too. It's like you start something, and if you don't get pregnant that cycle, oh, that must mean it didn't work. So you stop it. And then you start something new. And then the same thing happens. You don't get pregnant. So then you stop it. So it's like this start, stop, vicious cycle. But at the end of the day, number one, is this supplement does it even make sense for you and your situation? Number two, did we even give it a good chance, trying it for a month, and just because we didn't get pregnant, that doesn't mean that it's not doing its thing and that it's not working. It takes around 90 days for you to be able to change the health of your eggs. So yeah, it was just this vicious cycle. And luckily on one of my, one of my rabbit hole searches, I came across acupuncture and the fact that it could help with fertility. So I had reached out to this woman that I found in Ithaca, which is near me. And, she, of course, wasn't practicing in the area anymore, but she had recommended a gentleman also in the area, and she highly recommended him. So I reached out to him, started seeing him, and he was just the nicest person to go through this with, and really saw me for me and what I was trying to accomplish in terms of optimizing my health, my body, my mind, my spirit. And yeah, we worked together for several months, and I'm so thankful for that opportunity and that learning experience. I learned even more about myself. I learned about my constitution and traditional Chinese medicine, and just really looking at my health through that lens instead of just like the Western medicine lens, which is really the education that I got in college. And I feel like I've always been drawn to more natural therapies and remedies. I had loved essential oils before that point, and just kind of learning about all of those different alternative medicines. That was definitely one of, we did learn a little bit about alternative medicine in college, and I always did enjoy that. So this just really kind of opened that door for me as like a reminder of, hey, these are options too. And, we did gua sha, we did moxie, the acupuncture, of course. I did some Chinese herbs. And of course, this was all under his guidance. So I don't recommend you doing any of this on your own. I definitely recommend vetting a highly reputable person who is knowledgeable in fertility. And yeah, I learned I have a colder constitution. I think I had some like spleen Qi deficiency. I had some stagnation in my blood. So a big focus was getting that blood flow going, getting fresh blood moving throughout my body. So we focused on red foods, which can help build blood. So red raspberries, red meat. And then with me having a cooler constitution, focusing more on warming foods. So kind of trying to stay away from raw foods. So no raw salads really. And honestly, when I would eat the raspberries, I would gently heat them in some coconut oil, which the fats from the coconut oil are super beneficial for fertility. And everything was really intentional, just by taking organic raspberries and putting it in a pan with coconut oil and letting that kind of simmer. It almost forced me to slow down in a way to do these things, to incorporate these things into my life. And another thing he had me doing was making sesame seed milk. So I would take black sesame seeds, organic, of course, and I would pulverize them. And I'm trying to think, because this was this was in 2018 now. I would pulverize them, and then I would soak them in water, and then using like a nut milk bag, I would squeeze out the milk from the sesame seeds, and it would come out to this like bluish gray color, and it did have like a milky flavor, milky consistency. I think I did put some sort of natural sweetener. I can't remember exactly what, but because the flavor was definitely bitter. And I did that. I mean, that's how committed I was. And I even remember him saying like, wow, like you're definitely committed to making this happen. And absolutely I was. But like I said, the act and the intention behind making this sesame milk, I think, was healing in a whole other aspect than the benefits of drinking the sesame milk in itself. So he and I had been working together for a few months, and I had actually switched doctor, OB offices to a closer office. And I decided I wanted to see the midwives, thinking that they would have a more natural approach. And I think we were trying for 9 months when I saw the midwife, and kind of pleading for help, really. And I was told the same thing from that my first OB said, "You're healthy, keep trying. But hey, if you want, you can schedule your fertility specialist appointment just to have it in the books at the 1 year mark, because if you wait till October, they might not be able to get you in right away." So that was the advice I was given, and that was pretty heartbreaking, you know, trying to do everything that I can and kind of being told, like, yeah, I mean, keep trying, everything's good, but yes, schedule this appointment in case you don't get pregnant. So I did. I scheduled the appointment. And so I saw her in July. And then August came around, and that was a busy month. My husband went on a fishing trip. I had like a baby shower slash bachelorette. And we also had a wedding. So around my fertile window, that's when he was in one place and I was in another. And we just definitely didn't even see how it could possibly work that month because we were in different places. We just kind of, I think we let our guard down and our expectations were kind of off of the table. And also, I mean, we were socially drinking too. So I think the expectations were just not there because he was on the trip and I was on this bachelorette party. And then we had a wedding towards the end of the month. So it was like, nah, it's not going to happen. We'll just kind of relax and have fun. And September, I don't recall any symptoms at all at the very beginning of September. I remember getting home from work, so it was late. I think it was a Saturday night. And I took pregnancy test and it had the faintest positive line. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go to bed and I'll test again in the morning. So I had another type of pregnancy test, and I took it and it came back positive. And I just remember being in such disbelief. I was almost scared, like, wow, I've been wanting this thing so badly, and now it's positive. Like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Um, yeah, it was a beautiful and unexpected feeling, really. And yeah, that was my first positive pregnancy test, and that is how we have our daughter now, Olivia, and she is quite the star of my life, the shining star in my life. And this journey has led to so much change and growth inside myself that it's kind of crazy to even think about, even like looking back at how what I used to be as like a person and what my priorities were and what mattered to me to where I am now. And there's definitely more to this story, and I'll do another episode on the pregnancy and the birth and all of that. But, I know it can be easy for me to say this now because yes, I have my child with me. But at the end of the day, when I look back at everything that I'd gone through, all of the tears, all of the heartache, all of the blaming and shaming of my body, feeling like I was broken, feeling like I didn't deserve to be a mom, thinking to myself, oh, well, you didn't always want kids, Katie, so this is what you get now. Almost like it was karma. Those were the toxic, negative thoughts going in my head, even if I shared them with my husband or not, which I probably didn't, because I would be too ashamed to share those thoughts with anybody. I'm so thankful for that journey and for those struggles that I had. Because honestly, like I was nervous to stop my birth control. I was nervous to start a family. Should I do this? Will I be a good mom? Am I made to be a mom? Like all of these questions come up, and I think I had to go down that journey to really learn more about myself, to heal myself, not just my body, but like my mind and my spirit too. And that's what I needed. I needed that time to allow for at least my transformation to begin. And had I gotten pregnant right away, I think I would have totally missed that boat. I would have missed it. I would not have gotten on that boat of transformation. I really wouldn't have. So if you're listening to this and you've been trying to get pregnant and you're struggling and you're feeling frustrated, just sit in with your body. Like, how do you feel right now? Does it feel like you're constricted? Does it feel like you're just gripping your fists? Are you just grasping on to anything you could possibly do to get pregnant? I would just really try to sit with yourself and explore that without any judgment at all and with compassion, because I can tell you from my experience, that's exactly the energy I was coming from. I was coming from force. I was coming from control. I was ashamed that that I wasn't getting pregnant, as if it were a test in college or something that I didn't ace. So many things come up. And this is where some of our childhood wounds can rear their ugly heads. I feel like growing up, I felt like I had to excel and get good grades and be in a ton of different clubs and community service and sports and all these things to get recognition, to get acknowledgement, to get love. So coming from that place ever since I was a child, then yeah, I felt totally lost, neglected, like I was a failure because I wasn't getting pregnant. But I was putting that pressure on myself. And I know that the next statement I'm going to say is really not appreciated in the fertility community. And I think most of the time it ends up being not appreciated depending on who it's coming from and how they say it. But when people tell you to just relax and it will just happen. And I'm not saying that in any way, because I think there's a lot more to it than that. But I do think that the fact that we really set aside our high expectations for August and also the healing work I had been doing, I truly think that that's a big reason why we got pregnant, because I wasn't coming from this place of making sure all my ducks were in a row and this was just this way and that was that way and da 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 da. Who knows what was even going through my head at that point, worrying about the fertility specialist appointment that was a few months away, just so many things. And I just let it all go that month because I'm like, well, it's not going to happen anyways. And then it freaking happened. Like, it's mind blowing. So, anyways, this is all part of the inspiration for this podcast, is feeling confident to advocate for your health. So when you go to your doctor and you want answers, don't just take no or yes or just keep trying. If you want more, then you deserve more. You deserve a better answer. And if the current doctor that you're seeing is just not doing that for you, if you don't feel aligned with your doctor, if you feel awful, or if you're leaving that office crying, I'm urging you to get a new provider. And if that's not an option for you, to get some outside support. I feel that the acupuncturist for me was that outside support. He heard me, he saw me, he knew what I was trying to do to better my health. And he was there to support me and guide me without any judgment at all. And that's what I do for my clients as a fertility coach, is I'm here to guide you and support you without any judgment. I have walked this path and I conceived and I jumped on my own ship of transformation into motherhood. And I can tell you that it's worth it. But you have to allow it at the same time. You have to embrace the bad to see the good sometimes, instead of just fighting it, constantly trying to force it, trying to change it. You have to surrender to divine timing. You have to cultivate connection with yourself and really tune in into your body. And just ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And you may want to just scream into a pillow. You may want to just scream anywhere in your car, let out a good cry. Or maybe that's not where you're feeling at all. So just even writing these things down, getting these feelings onto paper, acknowledging them, not trying to stuff them down, because that's just going to create energetic baggage and density and heaviness in the body. You want to be able to release that. And these are some of the things that I want to bring to light on this podcast, not just for fertility, but also for pregnancy, for postpartum, for just motherhood in general. This podcast is for all of these stages into motherhood. Because in my mind, the moment you decide you want to have a child is the moment you become a mother. Really. And that journey is a portal for you to walk through to become the person, the mother you are meant to be. And sometimes your journey may be longer than others. But what if you could walk through that journey and just like just letting a sigh out, a sigh of relief. Like, yeah, of course, becoming a mom is meant for me. This is my destiny. This is why I'm here on this earth. Instead of being so hyper focused on the outcome, as if it's like a test that you can ace. Just enjoying the journey, getting to know yourself, getting to know your body. And, as soon as you get into this fertility space, the amount that you learn about your body, if you are listening, is amazing. It truly is, It's a beautiful thing to see unfold, but you have to be aware of it at the same time. So that's just a little introduction about my fertility journey and the spark, really, we'll say, of when my life truly started to change, and definitely a spark, a catalyst, we'll say, that has led to so many amazing, not saying not difficult, definitely a lot of difficult things, but still amazing. And this podcast is the product of it, really. And I plan to have experts on to talk about various things, whether about fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, motherhood, breastfeeding, all the things. And these are, even if you're trying to get pregnant or you are pregnant, you should still be thinking ahead to postpartum, thinking ahead to breastfeeding, thinking ahead about the toddler years. I mean, so you can still benefit from listening to these and just soak up the golden nuggets and the connection that's going to come from these conversations. And I'm going to have women coming on and sharing their raw and real stories about fertility struggles, losses, birth stories, postpartum stories, breastfeeding stories, mothering stories, right? Because as moms, we all have to come together to support each other. And that's what this podcast is here for. And that's what I'm here for. And I just want you to know that I have a beautiful community on Facebook. I will put the link in the show notes. And whether you're trying to get pregnant or not, it's a wonderful community. You're more than welcome to join. It's about optimizing fertility. It's about balancing hormones, which hormone balance is really something that we go through in our life as a woman. So you're more than welcome. Join the community, introduce yourself, and if you could just share this podcast, if you could leave it a rating, a review, that would just mean the world to me. And if you know anyone or if you yourself would like to be a guest on the podcast, then, direct message me at the Wellness Pharmacist on Instagram. I will put the handle in the show notes as well. You can always email me, Katie Wood at happynourishedmotherhood.com. But I just want to say thank you. I love you. I appreciate you for listening. And I will see you on the next episode.